Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Anne Rice's Mayfair's Witches, Episode 2, The Dark Place. For those that don't know and haven't watched, go watch our review for the first episode and go watch the first episode. But this is in the Immortal Universe that AMC is bringing to the screen with all of Anne Rice's works. This follows a neurosurgeon who discovers she's the unlikely heir to a family of witches, and then she must contend with a sinister presence that has haunted her family for generations. In this episode, wrecked by the grief over her mom's death, Rowan is out of control and unfit to perform surgeries. In New Orleans, Deidre and her mysterious companion Lasher work together to draw Rowan back home. This episode is directed by Michael Uppendahl, written by Michelle Ashford and Esther Spalding, based on the work of Anne Rice. Let me go over some people in the cast real quick, and then we'll get into the actual review. This episode stars Alexandra Daddario as Rowan Fielding, Jack Houston as Lasher, Tungai Chirisa as Cyprian, and Annabeth Gish as Deidre, who I omitted Deidre's casting and name on the first episode just to avoid any kind of spoilers, because I think her presence was better if we didn't know she was there. But I mean, I'll talk about Annabeth Gish. I think she's fantastic in this role. So in episode 2, The Dark Place, we see the show delve into a deeper family lore of the Mayfair witches. The episode opens with Rowan, played by Alexandra Daddario, struggling with the recent death of Ellie, who is her adopted mother. Unable to cope with her grief, she turns to drinking to forget, but has an uneasy feeling that she's being followed. This proves to be true, but not by Lasher, but by a character that we met in the last episode, Cyprian, who we don't know much about yet. I think that part still remains a bit of a mystery, but it's really interesting that there's kind of like this organization kind of overseeing all this stuff. So we do learn a little bit more about the Order of Talamasca and the ancient society that watches over and investigates some of these supernatural things, as they only get involved in special situations, kind of like what Rowan's going through. Meanwhile, Deidre, who is played by Annabeth Gish, so this is the older version of Deidre, who in the first episode we found out that she was Rowan's birth mother. Awakens from her comatose slumber with the help of Lasher. As she explores her new freedom, she reaches out to her daughter, Rowan, to try to lure her back home. Deidre and Lasher hatch a plan just to kind of get all these gears going. A mix of surprise, happiness, and awe greets Corlin Mayfair, who's played by Harry Hamlin, as he gives Deidre shelter. So we also saw Corlin in the last episode. This is where the show gets a little bit more like magic, because we see that some people don't seem to be aging as others. So anyways, this allows Deidre to find her feet and stretch out her long dormant powers. So as it turns out, Deidre didn't need to work so hard to bring Rowan home. Still lost and stumbling after Ellie's death, she searches for who she truly is and where she came from. Cyprian begins to follow her, observing her erratic behavior, and chooses to finally make contact. Each of the members of the Talamasca has given a specific gift. That was one thing that I really enjoyed about this episode, that we didn't really use that much of the CGI, that I was not a big fan of, but we just kind of used some other little camera tricks and stuff like that. So that part definitely improved in this episode. Now, I don't know how all these events kind of compare to what really happened in the book, so that, make sure to look for someone that is familiar with the original material. So if you want to get that take, I've heard some things, and I've heard that they've changed a few things that some people aren't really happy with. So there it is. This episode also includes a flashback at the beginning, which reveals more about the Mayfair family and their history. But despite all the heavy character and story building in this episode, there's a certain feeling of wanting to root for Rowan, who is struggling. And that's really who I'm kind of on board for, right? She's gone through a lot. She suffered a terrible loss. She's unfortunately, because maybe not being able to control the powers also killed a few people, which I don't know. It's a really big gray area. But then again, they have Alexandra Daddario playing this, so like it makes me a little bit more inclined to also root for her again. So I really enjoyed all the supernatural elements, the spooky atmosphere. Some of the scenes, maybe they just went a little bit too long or a little bit too far, slowing down the pace a bit in this second episode. But that's all kind of superficial stuff. So yeah, I think this show's off to a good start overall. It's not great. I mean, Interview with a Vampire set the bar really high for these shows and this universe that they're building. So I would say this show continues, as long as it continues to succeed in building these stories and making us care about these characters, making them intriguing, but also kind of maintaining this brisk pace of world building. Then I think we'll be in good hands going forward. Let me know what you thought about this episode. If you've seen it, leave it down in the comments. We'll keep talking about it for probably a couple more weeks at least. I'm still on board with what's going on. So let me know what you thought about that. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.